thank you to our patrons for helping make this podcast possible.
Am I good now, for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I good now, for real? That's what you just sound like. Am I good now, for real?
I kind of want to include this part. It's funny.
Yeah. Hey guys, morning world. Dude, I need like tranquilizer Rav, you know, like that's something. Can you do a whole episode where you just talk like you just sound vaguely like Moist Critical a little bit? Hey guys,
This is how I usually talk, though. So
that wasn't it. That wasn't what you did earlier.
What did I do earlier? I don't know how to.
You just said something with like slightly more bass in your voice than you normally do. Like you were like, "Hey guys."
Anyway, enough of that. What are we doing today, Bill? Oh, your BBL.
Yeah, I have to ask you about the BBL. That's something you told me to say earlier.
Oh no!
You said
I just saw my own reflection. I just saw what I look like.
Yeah, dude, it's hideous.
Y'all didn't tell me I looked like a radish, bro. I look
like a radish. What? A radish. I had you like load like not full screen. No, you look good, bro.
I look like a carrot, a squashed carrot.
You kind of got like you remember Bexy? You kind of got like that thing going on with the hair, with the hard part. You know what I mean?
What's been going on ever since I had my hair cut? Something's just been weird. Anyway, enough of that. Don't worry.
You're making it like exponentially worse by what you're doing right now. Like,
what do you mean, dude? I'm just hiding it, dude.
You're just gonna keep doing this the whole podcast.
There it is,
bro. You need to do like okay. When you hit a certain age, you need to like have like almost like Einstein hair. You need to do that.
Yes.
I feel like you could get away with. I'm not kidding. I think you could get away with like extremely messy hair.
You think so?
Yeah, like you'd have like a
appreciate that.
A je ne sais quoi, a certain I don't know what, you know.
I don't know what. Well, I appreciate it. So your BBL.
Yeah, I was supposed to ask you about that.
We're recording this episode just before last week's episode comes out, right? So we don't know how engaged the audience will be. If I recall correctly, in the previous episode, we asked our audience if they want you to start a BBL GoFundMe campaign.
Yes, that is a thing that happened. It transpired.
And we said that we would do it if there's enough interest. So long as... Yeah, like, you know, the GoFundMe reaches its goals, and also making sure that all that GoFundMe money goes towards the BBL, nothing else.
For sure. No funny business with the money.
No funny business, no, like, misusing of these funds for any personal reasons outside of the BBL. So let's say we get it. We fund it, right?
Which we will.
Which we will. You would do it, right?
I mean, I suppose so, yes. If we're raising money to do it, then yes, I would do it.
Yeah. Dude, that could really improve your life.
Yes. We talked about this in great detail last time.
I hope this sitting down doesn't become abysmal for you.
I mean, it's already not great.
So, okay, so it's nothing that... If anything, it'll improve the situation.
Yeah, like, I feel like I do need cushioning. Like, one time I fell when I was playing football, and I feel like I might have broke my tailbone. I just never got it fixed, you know?
Oh, damn. You look like it.
Thanks. Is it normal to, like, when someone knocks you down and you fall flat on your ass, to feel like there's a liquid there when there's not? Because that was the thing.
What do you mean?
Also, Mitch, you don't have your fancy vocal thing on.
I do in the recording, just not for you guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's awesome. That's new to us. That's
now you can hear me normal.
Okay. Nice. So basically what happened was I fell right on my tuchus, And it turns out, like, I remember thinking, like, did I shit myself? Am I bleeding? Like, I felt like a liquid sensation. And it was bad enough that I went to the coach and was like, Coach, like, I need to go, like, check and see if I shat myself because I hit my tailbone really hard and it feels like I shat myself.
Have you been feeling it since?
Yeah, just a constant running water sensation. No. He was like, yeah, go check, whatever, and I go in there and
whatever. Yeah,
you talk like this, kind of.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway,
I don't, whatever.
I don't give a shit. You're not good at this game anyway.
I never cared.
I never cared. Never. Sorry.
You're like,
Anyway,
Thanks,
and I went
Teach.
in there, and I was thinking, like, I remember going into the locker room, like, fully thinking that I was afraid that I was gonna pull my pants down. There was gonna be like blood all in my trousers. However, there was no blood. There was no shit. It was just a sensation, like there was. Which is that internal bleeding? What happened there? Is there any doctors in chat?
I could tell you what it is.
Talk about it.
Have you heard of what's it called? The sensation when a phantom limb.
Yeah. I played Metal Gear, I know.
That was a phantom shart.
Fuck, dude. Has anyone else, I implore anyone listening to this on YouTube to leave a comment. If you're not listening to it on YouTube, go to YouTube, find this episode and comment. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever had a phantom shart?
And if you're a medical student, doctor, or nurse, tell us how much time does Bill have left?
Mm-hmm. I mean, this happened like about 16 years ago, I'd say.
So, if, for instance, you're like, oh, well, usually it takes 20 years for people to die after that, then you tell us we know that Bill's got 4 years to go or whatever.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. If you could know, like on some Death Note Shinigami Eyes shit, like how much longer you had to live, would you want to know?
No.
You wouldn't?
No, don't care.
I would.
I didn't ask. Sorry.
Cool. I'd want to know. Imagine if you did, though. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't want to know. But, like, imagine if you did. That shit would kind of suck.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, that would really suck. You'd just be like, how? Especially the closer you get to it, If, like, you had, like, the doctors say, like, oh, yeah, you have explosive diarrhea testicles or whatever, right? And you're like, you got 1 year left to live, and then you're like looking at how much time you were supposed to have left. You're like, oh fuck, so this is what's gonna kill me. Now I know what's gonna kill me. But if you don't have something like that, right? You're like, is it gonna be a car that's gonna run me over? Someone's gonna rob me? The anxiety will end up killing you first.
Well, I would just be afraid, like what if it was a situation where they told you when you die and how you die? And so it's like one of those situations was like, oh, you die of, I don't know, decapitation, right? Then you would on some like Final Destination shit, try to get to a place where you couldn't die of decapitation, but it would like happen on some freak shit, Is that what would happen? Is it like the forces of nature or whatever is causing your death? Like, is it the Reaper making it happen? What if it just says you talk to your Shinigami and you're like, I want the Shinigami eyes. And I want to know how long I have to live or whatever. I think that's how that worked. It's been a long time since I've seen Death Note. But they say that, but they also tell you how you die. And they just go like, oh, you got 8 years. You die of fisting.
Okay.
Like, what do you do in that situation?
Yeah.
Because that would imply that, like, if you're not around anyone who could fist you to death, which is probably good, then you would have to die of fisting yourself to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a freak accident.
These are the questions for sure. You are now tuning into Void FM.
4052, why don't you turn around and let's back it into the table. That's it, turn around to your right. Forward. get a view from there and I'll see what the field of view looks like.
Okay, so Bill, I wanted to talk to you about something. What are some of your earliest memories recording music? I wanted to talk about, we've had an episode where we talked about like getting into gear, and kind of our history with the gear. We talked a little bit about the trajectory of becoming a full-time artist and all these other things, but let's touch on some personal memories of like first getting acquainted with some of that stuff, maybe some of the mistakes we were making, maybe some of the first impressions that we got from, making music. Do you have any memories that come to mind that you would like to share?
Yes, I have I have two. The first time I ever recorded, okay, so I count it as two different times, right? So the first time would be I was trying to figure out a way to record without recording software, and I thought that you needed like a 4-track or something because that's just like what people said to get like in magazines and stuff at the time. And so like, and it was those magazines were a little bit out of date too. And so what I did originally was I had like a shitty microphone that was also a camera, and I used it basically to record my vocals with headphones on over Windows, like in Windows Movie Maker back on like Windows XP. And that was the closest thing I had to a recording software. And I recorded something over the instrument. I just grabbed an instrumental of Down and Out by Cameron and Kanye, just off of LimeWire. And I just recorded a verse. It didn't let you do any doubles or stacks or ad libs or anything. It was just you got one track. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to just rap my verse over it. And I remember I called the song Answers. And I still remember like the verse was like, I ain't answering for no shit that ain't worth answering. My vocals are still clear. I just remember like the first part,
Oh, that's cool.
And I recorded it. And then there was like no mixing. I could just make it louder or quieter in small increments, And I exported it as like a WMV, not even WMV, WMA, so Windows Media audio file or whatever. And I put it on my either MP3 player. I think I might have had an iPod at that point. And then I was just showing all my friends, and like all my friends were like, "That's you?" And that gassed me up. So I was like, "Oh shit, like this is sick. I could just do this all the time." But I didn't. Like it didn't turn out as good as that one. Like vocally it wasn't good. Yeah, and so then I took a little break from it, and then the second time, which is like when I got into like seriously recording, was I think I downloaded I think it was Sony Acid or something. It was something that was like super duper. It was just a demo, and it gave you like 6 tracks total that you could record. And I was like, that's all I need. I only really need 6 tracks. You couldn't really mix super well, just volume stuff. Like I didn't know how compression worked or anything. So I was like maybe 15, and I was working at my school as a summer job. My mom worked at the school, and she hooked me up with this summer job where I was going in to the computer lab, and I was taking all the PCs like out and dusting them, basically. And how they had me dust them was insane. Like they just had me vacuum, which is a little crazy. But I remember like there would be long periods of time where I was there by myself, and they had like the little projector media card in there, and I set my laptop up on there, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I have this set up. And I was like, wait, I'm by myself here, completely alone in this building, right? I could record in here. And so I did. I recorded this song called Tippin', which I actually played on stream. I still have it. And I just found some beat off of like Newgrounds at the time, and had a Mike Jones sample on it. And that one is not a very good song, but I did it. I really did it. So those are my first 2 like real times recording. I mean, there's more memories and stuff, but that's what I'm starting with,
Yeah.
So
I have a lot of fond early memories. As I've mentioned in the past, I first started off recording on cassette tapes on like little recorders. I don't know what they're called. Like not like a field recorder, but essentially like a lot of Back in the day, they were the kind of thing I'm talking about. You could play cassette tapes on them, right? You could play
Yeah.
them back, but you could also hit record and play at the same time and basically
Like
go
dub
over
on it.
whatever is on tape.
Yeah.
Dub it. So I would do that, and that was like there was a stereotype around journalists usually like holding those things up, back in the day before technology kind of moved along. But anyway, so I started with that, and so of course there's no mixing stage or process or anything. The way that I was recording over it was like either playing music on a speaker and rapping over it directly live, or over more often than not over a homie like beatboxing and just rapping over it on cassette tape. And that sounds great, especially on the playground. It's got a nice vibe. So I remember just having like, I love this. This sounds
Facts.
like good. Also because it was so early on, like it was the early 2000s, right? So there was this similar thing that you described where if you show it to somebody, they're like, yo, that's you. You're rapping,
Yeah.
Because back then, now anyone can do it on their phones and it sounds amazing. Like that one guy, well, guess what? I'm JP or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
That dude recorded that whole song on his phone or whatever, right? That's very common for people to record and produce on their phones. But back then, the idea of being on camera or recording your vocals for something is just like more far-fetched.
For sure.
So, and then I had memories of like finally switching over to digital, switching over to recording shit on the computer, like mid 2000s, and using Audacity. I'm glad I didn't use Windows Movie Maker or whatever,
Yeah.
because at least I think Audacity has like more capabilities.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's actually an audio editing program, which is a good start.
I know people who produce in Audacity.
Yeah. I've seen a few people
in this day and age, which is
it's
crazy. And
Super
it sounds
crazy.
great, but it is crazy. Yeah, the memory I have associated was the different mics that we went through and everything. And one of the earliest mic I got to use was one that you could just plug directly into there used to be a hole for headphones, right? An aux hole, and an aux hole for the mic. You could technically plug your headphones into the mic section, and just if you yelled loud enough, your headphones would work as microphones. It's just reverse polarity, right? I used to talk to certain people on the internet early on who didn't have microphones, so they would talk through their earbuds.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that's crazy. But anyway, what was I saying? Yes, so there was this tiny mic. It looked kind of like a lavalier mic without the clip on. Some bullshit, cheap, tiny mic, long-ass aux cord. And I remember I was with the homies at the time, where one of the homies' cribs, and he's got the mic set up, and in front of the microphone, he had what's it called? The spaghetti strainer thing. What's it called?
Oh yeah, like a colander or like
colander. He had a colander. He was using that as the pop filter, right? He would have the colander, and he would have like a stocking over it that he would ripped and stretch. The stocking would do something, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But it took him a moment to update to that stocking. At first, I remember it was just the
colander is a little crazy, but
this tiny little mic, and the colander was huge. It wasn't even like a small one-person colander. It was like big Italian family colander.
Hell yeah, brother.
Because he is Italian, actually.
Yeah.
This guy whose house we were at.
That's so
funny.
So
that was really fucking stupid. I remember sometimes not really even knowing what the pop filter was for then, because we were young and there wasn't much information. There was no YouTube yet. And when YouTube did happen, it took so long for there to be like real useful information for recording. Now there's so much.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of that stuff, I'm sure. But back then, you didn't have it, so you just kind of like relied on the ingenuity of the folks around you. And I think we just kind of it worked for them. It looks kind of like this. It kind of reminds me of the, Hustle and Flow.
Yeah.
The egg cartons.
That shit. Which, by the way, the egg cartons do not work very well.
They don't. And I did that shit too. There was a stage in my life where I had like a little closet that in the inside of, I kept collecting the egg cartons for months over. And I remember just eating hella eggs, so my mom would buy more egg cartons.
That's so funny.
And I just like basically decorated the inside of this closet with them. Went inside to record, and it was just as muddy and like, low bass heavy, where all the low tones would collect and echo. Reverberate and everything. It didn't really work, but I remember thinking like, yeah. It was just because I didn't fully understand intended functionality.
Yeah,
I just
for
kind
sure.
of like, it was kind of LARPing, low key,
Well,
cosplaying an artist.
100%, but I also think that it's like people were just like so vague back in the day.
Oh,
like
yeah.
even people who knew what they were talking about wouldn't use words like, oh, they wouldn't be like, oh yeah, you use a pop filter to get rid of like the pop sounds, like the P's and the B's, like like those plosives or
Yeah.
whatever. And so like they would just be like, it increases quality. Like they would just say shit like that online.
That's
I'd
crazy.
see it all the time. Like all the time. It was like,
Yeah.
technically, yes, it does. In that you don't have a defect in your, in your recording, I never did anything like that. Like my thing is I used to have like a pretty large, like a walk-in closet type situation. And I had clothes in it. And I would set my laptop like up on the little thing up here, like, like where you could like set things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a mic stand, and because there was like a lot of clothes in there and it was a carpeted room, it was like pretty good. It was decent. It wasn't like completely dead, but
Yeah.
like I would do that for a while. And then eventually I just like, I remember I just stopped giving a fuck and I started recording just wherever, you know what I mean? But like, as long as it was
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah, for
But,
sure. It's so different now. Now I could record anywhere pretty much.
yeah, for sure. But at the time it felt like it was like, oh shit, like you gotta do all this extra shit, and you wanted it to be like as clean as possible. And yeah, I think I have a funny one. So I have a story about my laptop died when I was like 15, and I was talking to this girl. We weren't dating, but like we were talking, I guess. I don't know. And I remember complaining to her that my laptop died. Like one of the connector from the cable, like where you put the plug in, it wouldn't like work. Like it would, like if you touched it slightly, it would just turn off. Like it wouldn't collect battery or anything. It was weird, right?
Right.
So I ended up getting it fixed, but I remember like venting to her. It was like, yo, like I took myself so seriously at that time. I was like, oh shit, like I gotta record, I gotta get these bars off type shit. And she was just like, well, you could use my laptop. And she was like, it has like a pretty good mic on it. And I was like, okay. And so she just like let me use her laptop for like 2 weeks.
That's
like just
awesome.
let me have it for like 2 weeks.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's super sweet. So she
idiot.
gives me, So she gives me the laptop, and I remember I recorded this song. I don't think that I even have it anymore, but it was Chop Up Your Block, and it was over this dude, White Noise. He made beats, and I like hit him up and was like, yo, can I rap on this beat? And I did. And I recorded over at my friend Richard's house. And okay, so I recorded it the day that Pimp C died. I remember like Pimp C dying, me hearing about it, and then me putting it in the song like R.I.P. Pimp C. Like I said it in the song,
Oh
right?
shit, the day that he died.
Yeah, it was the day that he passed away. And so it was that night. And so his sister, my friend Richard, his sister had just gone to college. And so her room was like empty, right? And my friend was like, yo, you could like just go record. She had like a small closet. She had a bigger closet and like a tiny one that was like made for like, it had like a washing machine in it at one point, but it didn't. Yeah. So he was like, you could just record up there. Right. And I was like, cool. And I was like, your parents would be cool with that, And it was like, yeah, they won't even be able to hear you, because they were like downstairs. And so I was like, he was like, unless you're yelling, you're good, And like for context, her room was right above theirs. Okay. And so I do the song, and then like I got a text from his dad and was just like, hey, could you keep it down up there? And I was like, yeah, but the song was already done. I recorded the song, and I put it on my iPod, and I was just like pacing around the room listening to it. Right. And then I got another text that was like, dude, keep it down. Like his dad was like getting pissed at me. And I was like, why is like, I'm not even making any noise. I didn't like put two and two together that like it's me pacing for whatever reason. And so then like I go and it's like 3 a.m. or something, you know? And I'm like walking back in. My friend was asleep and I was going to go back in that room and go to sleep. And so as I'm walking, I look down and I see his dad like just staring up at me. He goes like, hey, what's with all the fucking noise? Just like that. And I was just like, I'm sorry. And just like went to bed, right? Yeah. You know, maybe they heard me yelling or they heard me recording. I wasn't even yelling. I was just normally recording. I don't know why I didn't put two and two together that it was like me walking, you know? And I wasn't even like walking hard. I guess it was just walking upstairs made noise.
No, he was tripping.
Maybe, I mean, who knows? You know,
tripping. That's an overreaction.
Yeah. So in the morning, he apologized to me for yelling at me, but he was just like, "Why were you like banging around up there? Like, what were you doing?" And I was like,
"Jacking off."
Yeah, dude. I'm just jerking my peanuts. No, like I was just walking, and he was just like, "Why were you walking?" And I was like, "I don't know. I was just like made a song, and I was just like pacing around listening to it." And then he was just like, "Isn't that weird?" And I was like, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So I want to talk about that as someone who does that a lot. But I did that with even like listening to music growing up.
Yeah, I still do that.
I love doing that. So for me, it's natural. I was going to ask, what was it like? Do you remember those memories of recording those early songs and then just like listening to them over and over and over again? Like, whoa. This exists. Yeah. I did that. I can listen to this artist, and then myself, and then back to this artist. Like, did you ever put your music on a CD and then on an your Xbox, for instance?
Yes.
And listen to it while playing Halo 3 online or some shit? Like, I used to do that all the time.
I did all the time. And the thing that's funny is that, like, my TV's audio was, like, shitty enough to where, like, I couldn't tell a discernible difference between, like, this like professionally recorded thing and this fucking thing that I did on a shitty microphone. And like I would play it like with my friends over and then they would be like, dude, you're like up next. You know what I mean? Like they were like, this is so professional. And if you listen to those tracks now, like they're awful, like really bad, like really poorly, like no mixing, clipping all over the place, like not knowing timing for like stacks right and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
was kind of a little sloppy.
Yeah, like all over the place. Like, but like even beyond just the rapping, like it's just recorded really
quality,
poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so very amateurish. Like amateur would be the word that I would use. And like and not in a fun kind of charming way. It was just bad. And so I would, but dude, I remember like the first one where I was like, yo, this is it, was the Chop Up Your Block joint. Like that was the one where I did like a lot of super duper, like I'd learned how to like pan vocals a little bit. So I'd made these like wide sounding vocals. To me, they sounded like super professional. And like all my friends were like, yo, how do you make yourself sound like that? Like I loved like stacking vocals on top of each other and it like no longer sounding like me anymore. I mean, I still like doing that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's cool. It sounds cool.
Yeah. It's a very like I listened to a lot of like Paul Wall at the time and like he was doing that shit all the time. All my friends too, like when they would listen to Paul Wall, they'd be like, yo, how does he sound like he's in a dome all the time?
That's funny.
Which is just him stacking his vocals, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. What about you? I mean, was that like, what do you think was like your first joint where you were like, yo, this is it, bro? You know?
There was one joint I did with a homie when I was like 15. There's a homie of mine. We did this joint. He was really good at mixing and shit. So he ended up mixing this song and it sounded dope. I remember it sounding dope, and then ended up being on a mixtape of this crew that I was a part of at the time.
Right.
And they hired like a DJ to DJ the mixtape because that's what you did back in the day. And so each song would have a transition. And I remember the song before mine would transition into that song, and it felt so epic to me.
Yeah.
Like, yo, fuck. and just listening to that over and over again. I just remember listening to myself so much. I was like, is something wrong with me? Am I a narcissist? You know? But then I was like, but I'm like, this is the one thing that brings me joy, and here I am like participating in it. You know, that's like the thought of that. Honestly, it still hasn't fully disappeared. I love finishing a song or recording a joint or something, and then packing a palm, rolling joint, whatever, walking out and smoking, or like going for a car ride, you know, and listening to it. Like, but smoking and listening to the music is just like, yo, that's still, it's still magical to me. Like even that joint that I just put out, shameless promo, I put out a one-off Lucy titled The Short-Term Plan, and I produced it like literally last week. I did like a loose version of it while you were streaming, and then I even showed it to some of your fans. Movie night, I showed it to some of the people, and then the following day I ended up like finishing the beat, writing a song, recording it, and putting it out. So yeah, so for instance, that song that I just put out, I remember as soon as I was done with it, I was just like pacing back and forth outside, smoking weed, listening to it, looking at the stars, just like thinking like, hell yeah. You know, I don't know. Something hasn't like, the magic isn't gone for me yet on that front. Do you think it's very common for artists to do that?
I mean, I feel like it's
gotta be, right?
It's gotta be, right? Because like, okay, like for me, like as soon as I record something, especially if I record something and I get high after, like, which is, I think is a good way to kind of like separate yourself from this thing you just made. You know, it feels like almost like I didn't make that no more. It feels like I'm in a different headspace than the person who made this, because I record everything sober mostly, you know?
Right.
Like, I feel like for me, I will just like sit there and like listen to it until I don't like it anymore. Like I will like, if you leave me to my own devices, and it feels like some weirdo shit sometimes. Like sometimes I'll like have it and I'll be like, I want to just like go tuck myself away and just like pace and listen to it. And like, people will be like, yo, what's up? What are you doing? And I'll be like, oh, just give me a minute. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I feel like that's kind of like a weird, like a little quirk, but I'm sure that most artists have. I feel like it's like weird not to. It's like painting something and be like, I'm not going to look at it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, I know there are people who are in movies and don't like to watch those movies and stuff like that. I get that. I know that there are certain things that I could see myself appearing in, and that me not being interested enough to like go see it even once. But if it's music, especially if it's like music I intended to make and I sat down and made, it feels like a ritual at this point in my life, because I've been doing this for so long. It's just like an essential part of my life, a routine.
Yeah, for sure. It's good for you, I think. I think it's like
it feels good.
Like it's one of those things too that it's like it kind of like gets you in a headspace of being excited about something. And I think like if you bring that excitement, other people will also be excited about it. You know, like if I'm really jazzed about a song and I'm like, yo, dude, like I'm telling all the homies like, yo, dude, I just made this song. Like I'm really happy with it. I'm about to put it out, blah, 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 blah. You know, like I think that's like a good energy to have with your friends, especially, well, creative friends, especially, but just like friends in general, you know, I think that like that makes them more excited, because it's like they say back in the day, they're always like, yo, like who, like if you're not excited about your music, why do you expect other people to be? And like I think that's kind of bullshit a little bit, but at the same time there is like an air of like, if you bringing that energy does help, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of it sometimes is people just reading vibes, right? Okay, so we're getting to the part I can't keep pushing this. I've wanted to talk about this entire time, and I'm like, no, I've just been pushing it away, procrastinating on it. Okay. But we got to sit down and have that heart-to-heart with Mitch and his recent addiction to blunts.
Hey. Do we have to do that now? Like here, right now?
I feel like
In front of the world?
I think it helps to do it in front of the world because it holds them to account.
Yeah.
It helps hold him to account. It helps make this more real.
Yeah.
Now, Mitch, I know you're convinced there is no problem, as it were.
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
I think there's a problem.
What's the problem? I dispose of them properly. I'm not just throwing them on the ground when I'm done with them. What's the problem here?
You eat them just like.
Yeah, I eat
you're
them just
supposed
like
to.
every other sane.
I feel like you depend on the blunt.
Oh, you're saying I have too many.
I just feel like you have a dependence.
Oh, you're wrong. Anyways.
You can't do anything. You can't wash your hands without. You're like, it's so bored. Washing hands is so boring. But if I smoke some weed, maybe it could make it fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, true. It would make it more fun.
And it is, and I'm right every time. I don't see an issue here.
Well, I mean,
Forget it. Cut this whole weed thing out because I thought, I thought we could address an issue, but we can't. So
Okay. Look.
No. Let's leave it in. Okay.
no.
We're gonna no. I'm tired of this, man. You always bow out right before we get somewhere. Every time we talk to him, you're always like we're almost there. We're almost right there. We're almost, and then you just go
Because he's not listening. He's never gonna
he is
listen.
listening. We're gonna make him fucking listen.
Okay.
Do it.
What's the
Okay.
average amount of blunt people smoke a day?
Who's people?
Just the average blunt smoker.
The average blunt?
The average blunt smoker.
He
I
can't
have
even
about
talk.
I have about 12.
Okay, so you're saying that 48 is too many.
I mean, I don't think that it's about the too many. It's that you need those 48. If you just wanted those 48, it'd be fine. It's that you continually, like, you kind of get like scratchy and about it, and I don't know if that's a good thing.
Is this joke starting to become a call out to me? Are we projecting me onto Mitch now?
Yeah, we are. This is actually all about you. This is an intervention.
What started out as a joke of imagining Mitch being addicted to weed.
Bro,
to just
imagine.
oh yeah, let's talk about Rav's problem, but as if
Imagine
Mitch had
us having an actual real life intervention for you, like on a podcast,
That
and
would
not
be
telling you.
funny.
Yeah, that'd be really crazy. By the way, we need you to. We got to talk about some stuff.
Actually, I need the weed. You know that when I'm off of the weed, I'm the kind of person where it's like, okay, imagine like if the Hulk would only turn into Hulk, not when he's angry, but when like after it's been too long since he had like a cupcake, right? And so they're like people around him always scrambling, oh fuck, he's running out of cupcakes. We're gonna have to stop by the cupcake store to make sure he loaded up on cupcakes. That's what people are like with me and weed, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh, he's running out. We gotta like load him up.
Yeah, we got to keep him fed.
But it does help. And when I have all
It
my weed,
does.
I don't need much. I don't ask for much. I just give me
just
my
a
weed
lot of weed,
It
Just
is
give-
true. Because I do remember when you didn't have weed and you were out looking for weed, you were so desperate that you prayed to God for weed, and 30 seconds later you found some.
If that's not divine intervention, I don't know what is, brother.
Dude, I'm glad Mitch was there on Discord with me. I said, dear God, I hadn't prayed to you in maybe like 20 years. It's been a while. And I was like, I don't ask for much. I know you probably got other things to do, but I would love some weed right now. And within 30 seconds, Mitch is not joking. Within 30 seconds, a dealer pulls up on me, and now that person is like my regular dealer.
Wow.
So, but
That's
that was
Jesus.
within 30. And what did I promise Jesus I would do if he answered my prayers? I don't remember. I think I just said I'd be thankful.
I think you just said, like, I'd be really grateful.
I'd be really,
good.
that'd be really chill. And so I'm grateful. So that worked out. So anyway, I don't have a problem. I need the weed. There's a problem if I don't have weed. That's
I think
what
the
problem is.
only problem I think that arises from you smoking as much weed as you do is that you have like a bit of a short-term memory situation going on, you know?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like just a little,
No.
you know?
No.
Like I'll be like sitting there, I'll like literally be like, "Hey man, so I went to the store the other day," and then you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I went to a store once. What were we just talking about?"
Yeah. I think something like that literally happened earlier this morning, and I like noticed it, but I didn't comment on it. I don't remember what it was now. But I remember going, "There it is."
Yeah, it's good. It's an endearing trait, but I feel like there's gonna be a time where you're gonna need that like thing that happened 15 seconds earlier.
Why?
You know, maybe
Why
outside
are
of
you
our calls.
Why? What do you mean?
You know, when you're in the court of law, baby.
Why would I be in the court of law?
I don't fucking know. You're the one smoking weed.
Dude, why would I be in the court of law?
I don't know. Can I say it
I would
on
just
air?
I would just tell my lawyer, who'd be next to me, and just like, hey, when I like do this with my hand and I've like figured out some sort of motion, I need you to like lean into my ear and summarize what we've been talking about in the last 20 seconds.
I like this better. Hold on. Can we do like a little bit of role play here?
Sure,
Can
let's
I
do
be
it.
your lawyer and can Mitch be the judge asking
Okay.
you a question?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Now, Rav, where were you on the night of the 28th of December?
December. Man, it's weird. I have a weird relationship with December. What were we talking about?
Objection!
Sustained. I mean, overruled.
Sustained? Yeah, don't answer my question. Never mind. That was out of
Never mind.
Oh, it's fine. Things
That
are
was my
fine.
bad, actually.
On the grounds of what? Of my client is off the za.
I am a little off the za, but dude, the peace it gives me, you know, I feel like I'm very functional. Aside from like the short-term memory, like yeah, for sure. Like if there were like stats for my abilities and everything, like one of those diagrams where it's like the different things, in terms of like short-term memory, it like plummets for sure. But everything else boosts.
That is true.
significantly.
I will say you seem much, much happier in a real way. In a
Yes.
real way. That is, it seems deeper than just smoking weed. I think that it's
Yes.
gave you. It's kind of like one of those things that's like sometimes you need a little thing to like shake up your life or whatever, just to kind of give you like a thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it has, yeah,
It always
And
has.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that weed did that for me. For me, I feel like it. I've been smoking like a lot more lately since I got my little. I don't know where it is. My little tchotchke, my little dry herb vape. I've been hitting that shit a lot, and I've been enjoying myself. I've been having a great time. However, I feel like if I smoke too much, I get like depressy. I don't know. Like I don't know why that is.
I'm also on antidepressants.
I probably just need to be on antidepressants realistically.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
You know.
or ADHD medication, one or the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. Well, I will say when I smoked weed when I was, because like I think Adderall or Vyvanse, like there is like a level of like with the heightened awareness, there is like some anxiety that comes with that. And I feel like when I would smoke when I was like, especially on Adderall, sometimes I'd be like a little bit like a
It
little
was a bad combo for you.
you know what I mean? Like whatever this is, like that's how I felt.
Yeah, not chill.
Yeah, that's like I wouldn't describe a person who looks like that at a party as chill, you know.
No, that's not chill like that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, he's not chill like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, Mitch, why do you do so much heroin?
We've been over this, Bill. It's prescribed.
I do wonder actually, Mitch, what's your experience like, cuz you finally got to go like really hang out with me and Square and James on my tour last year, right?
Yeah.
And what was like cuz you've heard for years, you knew about like, oh, Rav and weed, right?
Yeah.
What was it like seeing it in front of yourself, like what I'm like, not just the weed, but just in general, what I'm like and everything? the kind of person you anticipated I would be? What are some of your impressions? I'm just curious to hear, and whether I should be like antagonistic with you or not, depending on your opinions.
No, I mean, it was kind of like what I expected. You're very chill and enjoyable to be around.
You're sweet, thank you. Likewise.
I will say you
Thank
on
you.
tour. You on tour is kind of different from you outside of tour, though, because you on tour is kind of like you with your powers at your highest. You know what I mean?
Like, I feel like I'm like that usually, so long as I have weed and I'm doing stuff. Like I feel like that now, for instance.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Maybe there's a bit of it that's projecting from my end, because I feel like on tour is like the one time where I feel like I can relish in being the man. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I'm that guy. Like I never like want to be like the guy. Like I'm not like ever. But like when you're like, it's impossible like not to be the guy if you're like on tour and people are like saying the words to your songs that you're forgetting type shit. You know what I mean? Like that shit is like really, I think, good for me because I don't have enough of that naturally in me. Like where I feel like I'm the shit, Not to say I'm like low confidence, but there's a part of me that feels like you have to be humble a bit. Like that's just like a part of like who I am as a person. I try to be humble, So it's like, and maybe I'm projecting that onto you because I feel like that on tour. I feel like my powers are at its highest, and so I'm a little different on tour sometimes,
No,
Like-
for me it's slightly different. For me, I am more energized on tour because of the team spirit. I think
Yeah.
I love traveling. It feels like traveling with a family.
Facts.
It makes me sort of like, notwithstanding the animal cruelty, makes me understand like circus more from like an appeal from a professional standpoint, potentially. Just like the idea of traveling with a bunch of people and doing shit is cool. I don't know. I really like that. I miss touring.
Yeah, it does have like a familial thing. It feels like do you know what it feels like to me? It feels like summer camp. Like when you make a friend at summer camp, except for it's like the same, well, sometimes different people, but like for the most part for me it's been like more or less the same people or like
Right.
different groups within a group of people, And I feel like, especially like on my solo tour, like the first one, like where it was like me, Square, Ali, and Melty, like that really felt like it was like, because it was different on the bus with the Out of the Woods tour, because it was such a like, whoa, shit, we're on a bus.
Yeah.
And it was like so many people and it was so like big. And it was kind of like a lot of the stuff was like taken care of for us by people we hired on. And doing like a van tour, it was like, that was my first time where I was like, oh shit, like we're all in this together. We're all moving boxes. We're all setting up. We're all talking to the people. Like it's a very group effort thing. We're all driving together. We're all like, anytime we like stop to eat, we're making memories together in a way that was like different. I'm not shitting on the bus experience. That shit was fucking cool. That was the first time I ever.
Too.
Yeah, it felt like it was like the first time I was like on some rock star shit. That was really sick. No, like I wouldn't say I like prefer the experience of the van because
different.
they're so different, but like it's definitely close.
It's close.
Just very different.
It's closer than one would think, for sure. Yeah, that's the surprise. It is nice having like the ability to pee on the bus, to sleep on the bus more comfortably than you can
Yes.
in a Sprinter van. Although in a Sprinter van you can also sleep. It's just like less comfortable. And again, like someone has to drive.
100%. Yeah.
So there are certain things I do prefer about the bus. Yeah, the van experience, the family thing. It really, you're right. It's like summer camp where, man, it made me realize. I realized something last tour that I went on, where I had this feeling like, you know what? Yeah, growing up, I thought, wow, people like Slug and Ant, people like Tech Nine, they're putting themselves through the ringer. I'm like, that's crazy. Touring 200 days out of the year, whatever they used to do, right?
Yeah, something crazy.
And now I'm like, you know what? I could see myself doing that. Like I could see myself definitely getting exhausted, but I think there's ways of doing it where you can still take breaks. But I could see myself like day in, day out, that being my job.
Yeah. Well, I
performing.
think like for the Out of the Woods tour, for how long that was, because we were on the
2 months.
we did like we basically did 2 months, and it was like 30 dates,
32.
32 dates over the course of 2 months basically, and it was like it felt like a blur in some instances, but it was like so man, it's like I look back on a lot of that time where I'm like, damn, like I really could have done that forever. Like
Yeah,
it
it's a
really did.
lifestyle.
It did feel like it was like at first it was weird. At first, like the first like 4 or 5 shows, I remember being like, this is cool, but like I was kind of like, what the fuck is this? You know? And then like by the end of it, I remember being like, damn, like this is over. It felt like it should keep going.
Maybe
And
we should do a year like that, where
Just a
we
year
dedicate
on
a
the
whole
tour.
year, for the most part, to touring, and we like do a thing where it's maybe thematic as the year goes on, and the whole
Yeah.
point is the year of the tour, because as we get older, this is going to be tougher and tougher to do.
For sure. Yeah, that's the one thing I really miss was like going from like and like especially because that was like the first tour, and it was like I don't know how to say it. It felt like every show was guaranteed going to be like insane,
Yes, dude. Every other show was sold out.
For sure. Yeah, and
And it was our
like,
first ever tour to have a tour bus, 32 cities nationwide, so many sold out. Receiving awards that year for the merch, the amount of merch we were able to move. Everything just seemed so sudden and grandiose. Like obviously
Yeah.
we'd been doing it for a long time, but because it was the first tour and we pulled out all the stops, it was just like, whoa. It felt like this thing. But with the van, honestly, it also feels epic. There's something to me that I like. I know that the bus beats the van in many conveniences. And if like you become a certain size artist, I feel like you don't really have much of an alternative.
yeah.
Besides like a worse one, like a private jet or something, But the van lifestyle is really like a lifestyle.
For
I don't
sure.
know how it's so unique.
To me, okay, this is the way that I would say it. The van feels more like work, but it's a job you really like. Whereas the
Yes.
bus felt like a fucking vacation. Like it was like, to me, it was like you'd wake up, dude. I would wake up whenever the fuck I wanted. I'd wake up at like 3 p.m. I did that so often. Like I'd stay up super late and then just like sleep.
We were
Like,
the last ones to wake up usually. Yeah.
yeah, like I'd wake up at like 3 p.m. I'd roll out of bed. I'd walk around. Most of the people would be off the bus doing shit by then. I'd go get food somewhere. I'd like just walk around, take in the sights. I'd never been to half of these places, most of these places, and just be like, oh, this city's cool. Where are we again? Constantly. Like that feeling was so strange. Like that feeling of like, oh, what time zone are we in again?
Yeah.
We just hopped time zones like 3 times. You remember that? Like that little stretch in the West Coast where it was just like boom, 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 like that number. Like, and I was just like, time is a human construct that is, made
waking up and not
Yeah.
knowing what the weather's gonna be like, whether it's gonna be warm
Yeah.
or cold, wet or dry, sunny or cloudy, like all
Yeah.
of that. It was kind of cool. Like you're spawning somewhere new each day.
For sure. Like, and we really got a lot of it because it was in spring. And so like, I remember like when we did like Utah, it was like still really cold. Right. But
Yeah. Then we
doing,
did Phoenix,
Yeah.
where it was crazy hot, and there were
Or, like-
fans who were like in the scorching
Yeah.
sun from like sun up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
There's
crazy.
Phoenix. There's like Orlando was dummy hot.
Yeah.
Minneapolis was dummy cold.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And it was like all that shit was in like 2 weeks. Like
Yes.
that little section right there was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like it was such a like you ran everything, and it was like it was really cool. It was like a really cool road trip, and got to see a whole bunch of. We went to Canada. That was the first time I went to Canada.
this is your first time abroad.
Yeah, it was the first time abroad.
Which is crazy. This is why I still want to do that thing you and I talked about. Oh, off podcast when we stopped having a podcast. But for those not in the know, at some point in life, I plan to do like a short series, a docuseries, where Bill and I travel to different parts of the world, and maybe we do tasks or something, figuring out some sort of like reason to bring Bill out there. Like, not reason, like having some sort of goals while we're out there, but the main reason being Bill is the kind of person who was getting, experiencing new culture when we went on that first tour. Like not even before reaching Canada, just reaching different parts of the US and being like, oh, apparently they have this, that here. That's crazy, Just experiencing new culture. I want to see you kind of like in an environment that's even more different. Like
that'd be so much fun.
I want to see you in Cambodia, and I want this to be documented on camera. I kind of want, but I will be there with you so that we're both going through it. That like whatever you're going through, I have to go through too. So that like I feel like that will keep me from going too chaotic with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I would never give you too crazy of a challenge because I will always have to do those same challenges too. But I just want to document those memories. And it's not because I'm content brain that I want to do that, although that partially plays, I think, a role in it. I do like entertaining people and making people laugh. But more than anything, it's like another time capsule.
Facts.
That I could form with you. And I think that would be great. If you would like to see us do that, what are some of the places you'd like to see us go? I would definitely love to do something like North Korea and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I worry that might be difficult for me to re-enter the US afterwards. So I have to kind of see how we would organize that. But I definitely want to take you to a bunch of different places, and some places where I know you would probably kind of suffer, maybe a bit,
Yeah.
Maybe a medium amount of suffering. But I would be suffering there with you. And I wouldn't be suffering because I would be elated, entertained by your suffering.
Okay, perfect.
Does that sound fucked up? That sounds fucked up when I say it out loud.
That's a little fucked up, yes, but I see what you're saying.
That sounds fucked up, but you see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, there is like a comedic thing of like, it's like your friends and you're like putting them in a place that's like, ha, it's almost like a borderline like pranking.
I wouldn't put you in danger, not like in some sort of risk where I'm like, oh yeah, I know there's a chance that Bill's gonna die here,
I feel like you would accidentally put me in danger.
Yes. But
like,
that's true no matter what.
Because you have a tendency to downplay a situation sometimes. Like it'll be like a thing where you're like, like it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's all good.
I can't think of, actually, I genuinely can't think of a single example where that'd be the case.
I could give you a really good one.
Okay, sure. Shoot.
You remember when we did Skin?
Uh-huh.
And you were like, and my flight got delayed. And I was like, I'd rather go to the airport just in case. And you're like, well, it's delayed. They're not going to go switch it back. And then they switched it back.
Yeah.
Like that.
You know
is
why?
A good example.
Because I had a vested interest. I wanted you to stay longer.
See, that's what it is.
But I can be honest about it now because time's passed. But I was like, oh, let's go. Bill's staying longer.
Oh, you were trying to trap me in Houston?
Yes, so we could hang out longer.
Okay, that would have been good. Okay, that's
all.
Solid.
That's so. There was a part of me that's like, oh, this is convenient. We get to work on more music, hang out more.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that so wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I would have had to buy another ticket, which would have kind of sucked.
If they canceled on you, that's on them. That's their fault. So you wouldn't.
That's on they. That's on they.
You making fun of me because of my speech impediment? That's fucked up. That's real fucked. I have that disability and you make fun of it? That's crazy.
I didn't know.
Knowing what I have.
You have that disease of smoking that shit for real.
I've struggled sometimes. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I'm like, I can be yapping blah, 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 nonstop. No mistakes. And then I get caught up with like, oh fuck, don't make a mistake. Don't say something weird.
Oh,
and then you start overthinking every word.
That's the ADHD thing, man. That's the ADHD. Because I'm the exact same way. And I do it, dude. I do it at the height, a pinnacle of like a punchline of a long story all the time.
Oh, it's same. I hate
that shit. And I said it on stream. I was like, I vented about this. I was like, is there something wrong with me?
Probably, yes.
And then they were like, yeah. but like not bad. And I was
No,
like,
I don't
okay,
think it's a bad thing. It's just it's a thing that I've
there's
observed.
a
of myself.
defect somewhere in the old this thing noggin, if you will.
Scoliosis.
Yeah.
The old scoliosis.
If I ever make fun of you for fucking up something in speech, I'm making fun of you because I also do that. So it's like I'm making fun of myself as well.
Why have y'all not gaslit me yet about my short-term memory? Why haven't y'all done some shit where like you try to gaslight me like collectively, you Square and a bunch of other people just like that's crazy. Like we would like, but
Who's to say we haven't already done that? Who's to say? like we could have been doing this whole time because like we could have been like this whole time where you're like, oh, what was I just talking about? And I could just be like, oh yeah, like I just say something like real fucked up, like yeah, dude, you were just talking about how like you like wish like all children died or something.
But you haven't done
like,
that yet.
Oh yeah, that you know of.
I think I would have recognized, like, oh yeah, that's right. I was talking about killing children, right? Yeah, so anyway, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's like sometimes you just don't. You just gotta. How many of your thoughts are actually your thoughts? Is the real question.
What was your impression of Bill when you finally got to hang out with Bill, Mitch?
Was I as hot as you thought?
Because you're supposed to give us what were your impressions of me. What were your impressions of Bill?
So when I first met Bill, I was really sweaty because I sprinted across airport to meet him, and then he was like, "Look at this cool Canadian money I have," and
yeah, I did do that.
And I was like, wow, I've never seen that before.
Like home.
Yeah, like home. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
I was like, Bill is chill and also tall.
Yeah. Also, you met Allie, my manager.
Allie too. That was really cool.
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
She hated you, dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just playing. Wouldn't it be funny though?
Yeah, she hates me for no reason.
Yeah.
What was our first impression of Mitch?
Like he was exactly like I thought he would be.
Yeah, same.
Like literally exactly how I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I must have had a really accurate resume then.
Yeah. Oh, do you mean like we like knew you though? Like we talked to you and stuff before then. It wasn't like.
It's not like we were going off of a Twitter bio.
I don't know why, but my brain went back to like when I first started working with you guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought you were a square. I was a little bit like, oh, this guy's a square.
Okay,
but his heart's in the right place.
This guy's a
He's
square.
got a square brain and a heart of gold.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah, that was my first impression. But when I got to hang out with you, I was like, damn, this is a good person. Keep him safe. Protect Mitch. We gotta protect Mitch.
I know we're probably running out of time, but the first time I met Rav, I remember it was so weird because like we used to talk on like Skype back in the day, pre-Discord. We're gonna date ourselves a little bit, and when I was at the airport, because I had like a loose idea of what you look like. I'd seen like pictures of you,
Yeah.
And I saw a guy at the airport, and he looked like sort of like you, but you were like he was like far away.
Yeah.
And he walked up, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's him! That's him!"
Yeah.
And then as he got closer, I was like, "Oh, that's not him." You know what I mean? But then I was still like, what if? What if he just looks a little different in his pictures? You know what I mean? Like some people are just like really photogenic and like look a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
And as he was walking up, I was like, "Ha!" Like I was about to be like, "Hey," but I was like, "Ha!" And then I realized it wasn't him, and then he just was like kind of looked at me weird.
So all he heard was.
yeah, me just being like little gremlin noises.
He was like, yeah.
And then I looked up and then I saw you walking and I was just like, oh shit, that's him, And I remember it being like vaguely weird at first, like because I was like, oh, like I'd never met someone like from the internet like that,
Yeah, it's a little awkward at first.
Yeah, for sure. And I also like you were like staying with us for like 3 months, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember like it all felt a little weird until we like got in the Jeep and then you were sitting behind me and I couldn't see you and I was like, oh, it's just like I'm on on a call right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Then we just smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah, we did.
I remember that. We had that little tree percolator? Percolator?
Remember
It broke.
the times we would go out and I'd be silly with it. I think I've always been a little bit of a little monkey man, you know?
Yeah, you were
Little
like,
goblin fella.
but you definitely had like the thing of like, I don't know nobody here, so I can just like be crazy a little bit.
Maybe.
I mean, you went out one time. We went to that Shell station and you had like a pool noodle and you were wearing like a blanket or something crazy, like it was a shawl.
Yeah, and
And-
flip-flops.
And flip-flops. And I remember like literally one of the girls that was working there like pointed at you and was just like, because you remember like Ratchet Mess, like the website? She said Ratchet Mess.
No, she didn't. So this is what happened. She started filming me. And then I caught her. I'm like, I asked her what she's filming. She's like, I was going to put this on Ratchet Mess. And that's when we laughed and had like a brief conversation.
That's so funny.
I
dude.
wonder if I ever ended up on Ratchet Mess. That would have been great.
You could have. You could have. That fit was definitely close.
Look,
You know?
look. I don't think that was because nobody knew me. It was more so like, I think I'm kind of like chill like that. And I was more prepared to do like wilder things when you're younger, you know? But I feel
For
like
sure.
I still feel like I do things that many people would categorize as weird, but they don't feel weird because I feel like, you know, you call them crazy straws, I call them straws, you know, type thing. I'm a little,
That's really
a
good,
little
man.
kooky.
Yeah. You call them like clinically insane straws. I just call them sippies. You know what I mean?
I call them normie straws.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. The ADHD chaotic part of me took over halfway through whatever I was telling you about, and I just gave into it. You ever do that? Where you're like have a point and then like
Just
a
keep
funny
going.
thing or something comes to you and you're like, I'm just gonna say the stupid thing that came to mind, and then you commit to it.
I feel like those for me are always like I will do that and it will be funny, but then the funniest thing is when I dig deeper after that. You have to commit and stay in that. And then you get the gold. That's where the good is. That's where the goods is.
Yeah, I agree.
So like,
Speaking of
what's your
goods-
fucking? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
Speaking of the goods, why don't you tell what kind of goods our viewers could be copping with that patron subscription and the 2 tiers that we have?
Can I sip my lean while I do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, if you pay $5.
Oh, that's not what I thought you meant by while you do it. I thought you meant like periodically sip your lean while you do it. That's what usually people mean, you know, like, hey, you don't mind. You know? That kind of sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you better be sorry.
Go ahead. Come on. Yeah. Patreon.
As I was saying. Listen. $5, $20. What to pick? I'll tell you one. Listen. For $5 a month, over at our Patreon at voidfm.net. You like this episode? You like this episode you're watching right now? You get another one. Every time. Every goddamn
and if you don't like
time.
this one, maybe the Patreon episode's better.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. Who knows?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it's way better. Sometimes these
it's better,
episodes
longer.
fucking suck.
Sometimes it's 2 hours long, the Patreon episodes, and it's really nice and interesting, and then the real episode sucks ass.
Yeah. But it doesn't just stop there. You get other little juicy tidbits, little morsels of
Juicy
fun
little
things.
tit?
Juicy little tits. Sorry, I didn't like that at all. We can leave it in, but I'm mentally cutting it, you know? You can get a little juicy little tit of information. Not even just information. You could also get songs and beats. You could get stuff that I release, stuff that Rav release, stuff that Mitch release. Who fucking knows? Who fucking cares? It's free. Well, not free, but it's with the other stuff. You know? You get a lot of stuff. $20 though. That's where just bear with me. I know $20 is a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like half of a indie video game. Okay. So hear me out. $20. They put your name. I mean us. Well, Mitch really does it. We'll put your name at the beginning of the episode, and it'll say like, "Hey, this podcast is brought to you by these people," and it has your name on it, which is pretty nifty. However, I think one of the really cool things that comes with the $20 tier is you guys get to ask us advice for our little weekly advice segment in a Discord call, or you could type it, or you could send us a voice message, whatever. And yeah, we'll like actually directly talk to you and like try to figure out your problems. We're not therapists, or this is not financial advice. However, you know, sometimes we can impart some wisdom. What do you have to say about this, Rav?
I agree.
There you have it. There you have it. If that's any indication of where your money should go,
yeah,
sure, you
just
might
do it.
want to.
Look, you asking us questions on Discord, that shit is free, you know, so long as you give us $20. So that's cool.
Think about that.
Thank you so much. Patreon.com/VoidFM podcast, I think. Otherwise, you could go to voidfm.net.
That's the one I like. That's the one I like.
That's the one you like?
Click it.
You like that one?
VoidFM.net, 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 VoidFM.net. Best rapper alive.
VoidFM.net.
VoidFM.nut, more like. Yo, that's why they keep me around, bro. That's why they keep me around, brother. That's why they keep me around. I'm real close to them letting me go. I can feel it.
Them letting you go?
You guys letting me go.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week to Void FM.
Yeah.
Shouts out. And thank you, Mitch, for your hard work as always. And thank you, Bill, for the last episode that you've been around for. The ride's been crazy. Was it 20 episodes almost? Right?
Yeah, I can't believe I made it this long.
Me neither, quite frankly.
This
it
is a
took
PB
so
for me.
long to find someone like you were just obviously you've been the stand-in.
For who's replacing me?
Who's replacing you? Ill Bill.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we went with you because your name sounded similar enough. Honestly, we thought you were Ill Bill, and we went with you.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. We look similar, like if you like squint really hard.
No, but the names.
Yeah, which also looks similar if you like squint really hard and ignore the rapper part. You know,
if you ignore the first letter and you squint, definitely, very much so.
Can I talk about something before we leave? I know we're like probably like way over.
No, it's fine.
I remember like so I don't use Facebook, but I have a Facebook page that you can like, you know, and so like on my first tour, they dump money, like the venues will dump money into advertising on Facebook and say like, hey, Kill Bill the Rapper's coming to your city, and you get like random people who are like Facebook users who will like see this shit. And yeah, so there was one guy in particular who like thought that I was ripping off the rapper Ill Bill, which like much respect to Ill Bill, by the way, but like I didn't know who he was when I made Kill Bill the Rapper as a name. You know what I mean? So he like kept harassing me on Facebook saying that I was like a fraud and like all this other stuff. I at the city that he was supposed to be in, I told everyone in the crowd to say fuck you to him, and I took a video of it and posted it on there.
That's awesome.
And it was a really good moment. It felt good.
That sounds awesome. You should have turned that into a TikTok with a little voiceover voice where it's like, here's what I did to a person who sent me a text message, and then you like showcase and it's like, hey, you're not Ill Bill, kill yourself, you fucking, you know, whatever they call you behind your back. And then you're like, you in front of the crowd, and the voiceover is like, this is me moments after. And then it would have gotten so many fucking. I
posted a tweet at the time.
Yeah, well, that's lame. You need to do a proper, like, you need to sell it as a story. How about this? Do it as a, like, hey, that time, blah, 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 blah happened. Do it and then report back.
I will.
on this podcast to tell us like how it went.
I will.
And if it goes really bad, that's great. That's awesome. And if it goes really well, that's awesome. And if it kind of goes whatever, that's kind of funny too. It's a win-win-win.
You're right. 100%. But yeah, on that note, fuck that guy though. But on that note,
fuck that guy, fuck that dick, flaunt that dick.
What? Did you just say fuck that guy, fuck that dick, flaunt that dick? Is that what you said to me? What did you say?
Just forget about it. None of this should be making into the episode anyway. We're done. The episode's over. Bye.
Bye.
The following is a preview of this week's Patreon exclusive episode. Available now over on the Void FM podcast Patreon.
It's your boys, Rav and Bill. We're back here, Void FM, behind the paywall.
I haven't been going to therapy. I feel like it would be useful if I started to go back or found a new therapist. And I also don't really want to pay the money for therapy as well.
Cons, it costs money. It's far. Pros make brain good, right? So let's cut some of those negatives down. If I was with a bow and arrow and then you're my enemy from afar and I'm about to load up my arrow and you're taking HDH, this is what I go as your enemy. Oh no, he's taking HDH. I'm going to miss his balls.